So being you know E, you know this is F. Nothing in between E, F, and that's like the Jaws theme, the half step. Okay, so E and F, you got that. So now you have E, A, D, G, B, E, and you have E, F. All right, now we want some landmarks. You go to a new city. I'm from New York, so Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, Central Park, right? You have these landmarks that you could kind of figure out what part of town you're in based on the landmarks, right? So on guitar, we have these dots. Those are landmarks. That's what they're meant for, to act as landmarks. So now we can give them a name. So we want to learn all the natural notes first. And luckily, on frets 3, 5, and 7, on both the E and the A string, those are natural notes. On the E string, it spells the word gab, G-A-B. G-A-B, 3, 5, 7. G-A-B, 3, 5, 7. Hey everybody, Gary here with POW Music, and in this video I'm going to give you some tips for memorizing the fretboard using the fretLIVE animation so you could kind of see as I move my hand. And we're also going to go over the order in which you should learn the fretboard. So you want to memorize your low E and your A string first, because generally with our movable chord shapes, let's say I said play the chord progression G sharp to C sharp to D sharp, you find a G sharp, you play the chord, you find the C sharp, you play the chord, you find the D sharp, and you play the chord. Or let's say I said, play me the D sharp minor pentatonic scale. You might find this root note, and you might find this root note. Right, so we generally start by finding root notes on those two strings. So I'm a big believer in the 80-20 principle, which is 20% of an endeavor will give you 80% of the results. So if the endeavor is memorizing the fretboard, those two strings are going to give you the most results. So you want to start with those, and then there's some tricks I'm going to share with you to then be able to find the notes on the other strings without totally memorizing them by using the ones that you know as a reference. So we're going to use the octave trick, ways to find the other notes by following a formula of octaves. So if this is a G, there's a G, there's a G, and I didn't need to know that those were G's by themselves. I just used an octave formula. So after we go over how to memorize the notes, there's going to be a game at the end where you have to play a note I call out on the E string within 4 beats time at 90 BPM. In my fretLIVE Fretboard Mastery program, there's 6 additional training videos at multiple speeds to go along with this lesson for both the E string, the A string, both strings combined at the same time, octaves, and then later in the course, the rest of the guitar. So this course will help you to master how music works on the fretboard so that you can learn and create music more easily and with greater freedom and understanding. There's also a downloadable fretboard memorization guide that's both part of the course and available to POW Music patrons, and the links are in the description. All right, so here's the order of operations. First, you want to know your open strings. Then you want to know all your natural notes, meaning the ones that aren't sharps or flats on the low E and the A string. So open strings, Eddie, 8, dynamite, goodbye, Eddie, E, A, D, G, B, E. So you know that. I'm sure you knew that before watching this video. Now we need all the natural notes on the low E and the A. So here's a few tricks to help you memorize it really quickly. So you want to know that between the notes B and C, here's a B, here's a C, and between the notes E and F, here's a B and C, here's an E and F. Between those pairs of notes, there's no sharp or flat. All the others have a sharp or a flat note between, but E and F and B and C, they're right next to each other. There's nothing in between. F. So from B to C, there's no B sharp or C flat. That's why on the piano, there's no black key between those notes. And E and F, same deal. No E sharp, no F flat. That's why on the piano, those two don't have a black key in front of them. And there's a way to remember those two pairs. Think in 10,000 BC, there's your BC, no one knew Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald's an amazing jazz singer. If you don't know her, check her out. Her initials are EF. So in 10,000 BC, no one knew EF. So being you know E, you know this is F. Nothing in between E, F. And that's like the Jaws theme, the half step. Okay, so E and F, you got that. So now you have E, A, D, G, B, E, and you have E, F. All right, now we want some landmarks. You go to a new city. I'm from New York, so Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, Central Park, right? You have these landmarks that you could kind of figure out what part of town you're in based on the landmarks, right? So on guitar, we have these dots. Those are landmarks. That's what they're meant for, to act as landmarks. So now we can give them a name. So we want to learn all the natural notes first. And luckily, on frets 3, 5, and 7, on both the E and the A string, those are natural notes. On the E string, it spells the word gab, G-A-B. G-A-B, 3, 5, 7. G-A-B, 3, 5, 7. On the A string, it's C-D-E. 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 So gab is easy to remember. Gab. You could think for C-D-E, make something up. Let me know in the comments what you made up. How about Charlie does everything? Charlie does everything. Children don't exercise. Children don't exercise. They just play. Okay, so there we go. Now we have E, F, gab, G-A-B, and we have C-D-E. Okay, now we already said that between B and C and E and F was a half step. So if this is C, then B is right before it. B, C, B, C, B, C, B, C. So C, D, E, but B, C, B, C, right? And E, F, E, F, gab. So now we got up to fret 7. Okay, now fret 7, what is that? A B. What did we say? B, C, B, C, B, C. So there we have another B, C. Now check this out. C and D surround the dot on the 9th fret. So whereas these dots were natural notes, the 9th fret is a sharp and a flat, depending on what you call it, but it's surrounded by natural notes. C and D surround fret 9. And by the same token, F and G surround fret 9 on the A string, because F, E and F, E, F, B, C, and that you can memorize too. There's the half step. They're right on top of each other on these two strings. B, C, B, C, E, F, E, F, B, C, B, C, E, F, E, F. And then F and G surround this 9th fret, and C and D surround this 9th fret. Okay, now we're done, because the 12th fret is the octave. E, A, D, G, B, E. So this is E, and this is A. It's the same as the open strings. So to summarize, E, F, gab, C and D surround the 9th fret. A string, Charlie does everything, C, D, E. We've got a half step between B and C. B, C, B, C, B, C. Because Charlie does everything. Because Charlie does everything. Then, everything, E to F, F and G surround the 9th fret. So remember, this is C, this is D, this is F, this is G. C, D, F, G. Then we have the octave, A, E. Okay, now there's one other rule. Another way to think about it is F gab and C, D, E. So check this out. F gab, just F, G, A, B. All those letters are what we call a whole step apart. That means there's sharps and flats in between all of them. So F, whole step, G, whole step, A, whole step, B. F gab, F gab. Whole tones apart. C, D, E, also whole tones apart, right? C, D, E. Now here's the thing. F gab and C, D, E are butt up against each other. So there's, between F gab and C, D, E, there's nothing, there's no note in between. They're butt up against each other. So on both sides. So C, D, E goes right before F gab and right after F gab, right? So that's how you can find from one note the entire fretboard of natural notes. So we have E. Let's just apply that principle. E is the last letter in the C, D, E group. Butt up against it is F gab, F gab. Butt up against that is C, D, E. Butt up against that is F gab. Now we could do that from any note. Let's look at the A string. Where does A land in F gab? It's in the middle of gab, right? So that means B has to be a whole step after A, and that's gab. And now we have C, D, E. C, D, E, F gab. So C, D, E, then F gab, F, G, A, B, then C, D, E, right? Now we could use that principle on all the strings. The D string, you know, the D string, where does that land? C, D, E, so a whole step to E. Then we have F gab, F, G, A, B, then C, D, E. So I could apply F gab, C, D, E to find all my natural notes if I'm just going string by string, right? We're not going to go any further on that in this lesson. Just know that that principle works on the whole fretboard. Now, the sharps and the flats are just in between all those natural notes. So as you can see, each sharp note is also a flat note. So they have two different names. And when to use which name, we're going to go over later in the course. But for now, you just want to know both their names. Now, here's what makes a note sharp or flat. When we go one note lower than a natural note, we make that note flat. So if this is A, we go one note lower, it's A flat. And when I say lower, I mean lower in pitch. High, low. And when we go one fret higher than a natural note, we can make the note sharp. So if this is A sharp, higher in pitch, ooh, high, low, right? So A sharp, A flat. And you can think of it this way. If you get a flat tire, you go down, right? You get the flat tire, you're driving, you start to go down. If you sit on a sharp thumbtack, you're gonna jump up because it's sharp, right? So up, sharp, flat, down. If we want B flat, find the B, go down one. If we want A sharp, find the A, go up one, right? Those are the same note. Every sharp is also a flat. Depending on what key you're in, we either call it sharp or flat. But for the sake of memorization, you just want to think of it as both. This note is both A sharp and B flat. This note is both G sharp and A flat. This note is both F sharp and G flat, right? Okay. So now you've got those two strings, and if you got this string, you also have this string. Awesome. Now, another way to find the notes on the other strings is the octave formula. From any note on the low E string, we go over 2 frets, down 2 strings to find the octave. So if this is a G, we go over 2, down 2, that's a G. If this is an A, over 2, down 2, that's an A, right? If this is an E, over 2, down 2, that's an E. From the A string, we go over 2, down 2, same thing. If this is a C, this is a C. If this is a D, this is a D. If this is an A, this is an A. All right, now the formula changes. Let's say you get from this G to this G. Now from the D string, it's over 3 down 2 because the B is tuned 1/2 step flatter than all the others are in comparison to the other strings. So the B string kind of throws off the symmetry of the fretboard. So from here, from this G, over 3 down 2 for that G. And then the formula is the same from the G string. So let's say here's a C, and I find this C. Now again, over 3 down 2 to find the next C. There are other ways of finding octaves, but for the purpose of fretboard memorization, let's just stick with those right now. So the way to know you really mastered the low E and A string is no matter what note I tell you, find it on both strings as quickly as possible. So if I say G, 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 you want to be able to find both G's on the low E and the A. If I say A sharp, A sharp, A sharp, you could even go to that one too if you want to go past the 12th fret. Just as a double challenge, but remember, after the 12th fret, everything repeats. So if the 3rd fret is a C, that means the 15th fret is also a C. That first dot, first dot, first dot. So that's just kind of a given. You just kind of think of that as a miniature guitar, and if you know this, you know this as well. So we're kind of just going to think about from frets 0 to 12 for the time being. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is put on a drum beat, and we're gonna do a memorization drill for the low E string only at a slower tempo. If you want 6 other training videos like this at various speeds for the E and A string, both combined in one drill, and the octaves, you can access those along with dozens of other lessons and challenges in the fretLIVE Fretboard Mastery Program linked in the description. All right, so I have this set for 85 beats per minute. I'm gonna say a note, you're gonna play the note. You have 4 beats, so let me just give you an example. E, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I say G, 2, 3, 4. right? So you have 4 beats, and hopefully you and I play it at the same exact time. 1, 2, here we go. G. B. C. F sharp. C sharp. D sharp. A flat. A. G flat. F. C sharp. A sharp. B. G flat. C. B. E. F sharp. B flat. G flat. D. E flat. G sharp. A. B flat. All right, hopefully that was helpful. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you want to be notified anytime I post a new one, please tap the bell. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Before I go, I just want to give a special shout out and thank you to some of my higher level patrons. That includes Andrew Vogel, Arwin Guzen, Cam Chernachan, Chris Dewing, Chris Freeman, Daniel Laurans, Joff Weathermax, Jim McCall, John Hartquist, John Cushman, Joseph McCarthy, Noah Brand, Scott Martinez, Sweetness, Trampus Thompson, Chris Watson, Sean Ellis, and Don Stringham. Thank you guys, and thank you to all the Pound Music patrons for your ongoing support. Happy playing, and I'll see you next time.